Hey everybody, good morning. Mestre Sukuri coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. Beautiful day here. Mestre Vibes, episode 33. Today I have a very special topic and a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, Gavin, who is an ordained Buddhist monk who lives in Sendai, and he's also a long-term Capoeira practitioner. So today, he and I are going to be talking about spirituality in Capoeira, and hopefully he can really give us some amazing insights on spirituality and maybe compare and contrast between Capoeira and Zen Buddhism. Gavin, welcome today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. So, Zen.
You're an American?
Yeah.
Zen Buddhist monk in Japan.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So after I had already been practicing capoeira, and I'd lived in Japan, but I went back to the U.S. and I said, I need to sit down. I need to start meditating. I didn't know what that was going to be. Closest place I could find to my house was a Zen center, a Zen training center, and they had sitting meditation every day. So I said, yeah, that's the place to me. I need to get my water boiling and really be consistent. So I ended up going there, and the rest is history. I guess I eventually thought, this is really going to be something important in my life. And so I wanted to become a priest. And I came to Japan to train and enter into a monastery. And that's before I went, I got to meet you and join your beautiful Capoeira community family. And here we are.
Yeah, funny thing is a lot of people don't know is that via friendship and via text, I pretty much went through the whole process with him. Nothing like what he did, but he did, 3 years in Izu?
Yeah, 3 years in a Zen training monastery.
Wow, man, that's insane. I can't, what was like the best part of it and the most challenging part of it?
Everything is challenging. Everything is challenging. There's no most challenging. Every day, every second, you're being challenged. And that maybe is also the best thing about it, too, because what you think, man, I could never do this, this is impossible, you realize it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. And you're not allowed the mindset of impossibility. This impossible thing must be done, and you got to find a way to do it. In Japanese, they say kufu. You have to kufu shinai to ikenai.
I remember when you were doing the 3 years, you had to wake up. Like generally, what was what was your regular day schedule? Like, I'm just curious. Maybe the people would like to hear.
Yeah. Well, the earliest we wake up is 3 o'clock, I guess, which is not really the morning. You're still at night. And that's pretty typical for all Zen monasteries. And that's during our kind of week-long retreat. You wake up at 3. Things start at 3:30, but you kind of got to get stuff ready before that and get your face washed. And then you start off directly with some sutras. Then there's some meditation. You have a meeting with the Zen master, kind of one-on-one, where you discuss kind of your training or Zen stories of ancient Zen masters. But it's all related to your kind of spiritual perspective, spiritual awakening, which is kind of the main purpose to be there. Then yeah.
That's kind of cool because when you said, you get stories from like old Zen masters, it really sounds like capoeira in that, when we talk about old masters and the spirituality that we get from listening to their life stories or to their stories in songs, right?
Right.
I guess the easiest question to start off today is just what similarities do you see between Zen Buddhism or in your own training that you also see in capoeira? For me, capoeira is such a spiritual and philosophical journey that a lot of times I think, a lot of times people think it's just fun and games, Brazilian, shake your booty, samba, blah, 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 do a backflip. But actually, there's a deep, profound philosophical and spiritual side of capoeira that I've grown to love and make part of who I am as a person. So for you, how would do you see any similarities between capoeira and Zen Buddhism, or what are some different things that you do, or generally how do you compare and contrast them?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some similarities, and I know you were saying people see capoeira as just like play and shaking your booty, but part of your spiritual development too is getting to a place where you can feel maybe comfortable shaking your booty and playing. Engaging in play like a child naturally does. And that's, I think, a really great part of capoeira is it teaches us how to play again. We become adults, we get serious, and think, we have to be this serious person. But it's so important for humans at any age to play. So even before I started Zen, I was really grateful for capoeira for reintroducing me to that part of my humanity, playing.
I've seen a lot of people recently, especially in the last 10 years, really moving outside of Brazil. The conversation, a lot of it is the ability and the need for adults to play, to reconnect to fun, to reconnect, because we get so many societal pressures to conform and to produce and to be a certain way, that capoeira gives this ability to play that is really difficult in many things. Personally, I think we all have different, the goal is the same, the destination's the same, some kind of spiritual, mental, philosophical goal, and we just get through it in different vehicles, right? For me, the vehicle is capoeira. For you, it's Zen Buddhism. For somebody, it might be yoga. For somebody else, it might be training boxing or jiu-jitsu, and they feel a certain harmony, a certain meditation. Is there anything that's unique to Zen Buddhism that you think capoeira could benefit from?
Well, first, I really want to touch on what you just said, where there's all these different vehicles, and we're working towards the same output, the same goal. And there's the beginning of the book we study the most in Zen training, the Mumonkan, is a line that says, "The great way has no gate, and there are 1,000 roads to it." So maybe to this enlightenment, there's no one straight way. So like capoeira is a vehicle, Zen training is a vehicle, yoga is a vehicle. There's no way, but it's open to everybody. Everyone can get through. So definitely in that respect, it's very similar. In Zen training, though, we really distill it down to the simplest possible thing we can do, and then move out to make things little by little, a little more complicated. But that's the point of our just sitting still, not doing anything else. Just sit in meditation and connect with yourself, connect with your breath. And then when you can start to do that, then try doing it while cleaning the temple, while sweeping, while washing the dishes, while folding your laundry. Can you keep that connection to...
I think it's really interesting because in capoeira, for me, as one thing I always hit on with people is you guys have to really study the lyrics of capoeira, study the lives of the old masters and the old masters, and more importantly, you have to understand, Afro-Latino, Afro-Brazilian culture. And this as like, for me, meditation in capoeira, people ask me, "Mestre, do you meditate?" And I said, no, I don't, because I'm thinking always in the classical form. But over the last, 5-6 years, I realized that my training, when I'm doing, 300 kicks in 30 minutes, and I'm focused, and I've cleared my mind for 30 minutes. I can't sit there and I can't think about the endless road to my navel for 30 minutes, but I can train for 30 minutes and not think about anything. And then when I'm done, the sweat, the listening only to like the words of I love playing old Angola songs and really listening to the spirituality of it. And in 30 minutes, it's like I'm breathing I'm sweating, I feel good, but also I've ingested. Like, I guess for Zen Buddhism, it would be mantras, right? Like sutras, chanting. Like, for me, it's the capoeira music and the capoeira lyrics that become.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll hear a lot of runners talk about runner's high when it's after they kind of get going and then they get in their swing and then they have the same feeling you described of just there's no thought, they're just in the moment doing their thing. And a lot of sports will develop that. And the thing that we do in Zen training is to don't just keep it to that one event. So you can take that same feeling and bring it into every aspect of your life. It's called, in Japanese, zanmai, or samadhi is another way to call it. But you can say the flow, right? Getting in the flow of things. But like you said, sitting and exploring your navel for half an hour it's not for everybody. So I think that's an important part, though, of whichever path you're on, is to notice at some point, okay, yeah, there's something really valuable here. How do I bring it into these other parts of my life, not just when I'm doing this one thing?
Exactly. Like I say, we all have different vehicles, but we're trying to get to the same place. I know everyone's going to want to know about this, especially like the people closest to us and friends. In Capoeira, we have the verga of the biriba from the birimbau, and I've been hit with that a couple of times. And that reminds me for not paying attention, but that's a different generation at a different time. Everyone knows about the stick, but what is the purpose of being hit with the stick while you're meditating? I'm taking this seriously, like.
No, yeah, and so the stick is the keisaku. It's a very important tool in the zendo, the place where you sit and do meditation. But in monasteries, you'll find a stick lying around anywhere, so you can be beaten at any time without notice. And once you're kind of the head monk or in charge of the zendo, then you have one in your room, so you can just go out and beat people when the time is right. But we're exaggerating here a little bit, but it's just as you said, stuff. Wake up. Pay attention right here, right now. Listen to your body.
It's the hashtera in Capoeira, right? Pay attention, you're not paying attention,
Yeah.
I always tell the kids that the hardest thing is teaching kids and like in the Hoda to focus, because they, the short attention span, until someone like falls on them or they get hit, they don't pay attention. But that's kind of part of the process, right? It seems like in Zen, the process is more structured and the need for it is understood. I mean, imagine if I walked around with a Zen stick and started hitting like my students, pay attention, sing the song right. Dude, that would just be amazing.
It would be abusive. So we have to be careful, though, too, about that, too, because it's just a stick, and it depends how you use the stick, right? Are you using it for the purpose of bringing everyone's attention back to where it needs to be, or are you kind of getting on your high horse and wanting to be,
Well, I always talk about how we have to be very careful of our egos. Mm-hmm. Like Master Linguisa always says, he hates when people are like, I'm sensei, teacher, and you feel this, like what really becomes one of the big things here in Japan is we call power hara, which is the power harassment, or what is it in English? Power harassment. When somebody higher than you treats you, and here's a very structured society, so you see that a lot. And we need to be very careful, because for me, being a teacher is really a privileged, blessed state of my life. And I'm always careful not to, I'm human, but I'm always careful to hey, look, I'm not a god. I'm a teacher, and I have to, comport myself as much. And as I'm doing that, you can see Gavin here. You guys can't see, but he's getting into a sitting Zen position. His hands are folded as he looks down and contemplates the universe in his navel. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I like what you're saying, and this is reminding me of another very important part of Zen training too, which is maturity. So it's, yeah, okay, you've done a lot of meditation, you know all the secrets of the universe maybe, but are you still an asshole in your daily life? Or do you have some spiritual grit? Do you have some maturity? Do you have the wherewithal to deal with things when stuff hits the fan, or when you have a difficult situation in your family or with your friends or with your work? Do you have the compassion to deal with the people who need it?
Yeah, I always feel like it's that old saying, right? Are you really, when you're spiritual, you're going to be spiritual in any conflict, at the good and the bad. I mean, one of the big conversations in America right now is just, people are religious until it's uncomfortable for them, right? We're trying to be good people, but are you're good until it affects you. You're faithful until it affects you. But being able to withstand adversity and the high and the lows of life and maintain your spiritual course is actually incredibly challenging, because it takes a level of self-awareness and accountability that honestly in my life I see few people doing.
And this is what I really like about Capoeira and Zen training too, is it forces you to start exploring a certain level of self-awareness. When you're in the Hoda, you need your physical awareness. Where's the boundaries? Where's the other person? Where's the kick coming from? Then you need some music awareness too, right? Am I on tune? Am I off beat? Which I often am. Are you, then when you're doing your game, are you flowing with the music? Are you connecting all the aspects together now? Are you paying attention to your breath?
Yeah, we always say the Hoda is a mini cosmos, a mini universe, right? Where all the energies have to come together.
Yeah.
In the Hoda, I find out who I am and who I am.
Woo!
High five.
Yeah. No, and it's such a great, it's a little test room, the Hoda too. You can kind of touch and feel like, okay, where am I comfortable with? How far can I push things? Where do I need to pull back a little bit? And you'll see, after you have some experience in the Hoda or in the Zendo, and you're going outside into your daily lives, you walk a little different, don't you? You feel a little different. You're more connected to who you are. You're more connected to your surroundings.
I think the word we're looking for is temperance.
Ooh.
When I feel capoeira was a fire, I tell students, if you want to get stronger, you got to turn the heat up and boil the water. You can't make a hot pot of coffee without heat. Mm-hmm. And it sounds better in Portuguese, but it's part of the process of capoeira. And Zen also has its, although they don't turn the heat up, it does have its own way of heating up the situation, like with the sitting, the self-discipline, something that I find incredibly amazing, because more than anything, you doing this as an American, coming to Japan, like I remember when you were studying like your sutras, and and I'm looking and you're like, oh, these are like 1,000-year-old Japanese sutras that Japanese people today don't even use. They wouldn't be able to read because it's just not something they do. A very, what we call in Japanese, senmon, like
right,
like
specialty.
Really specialty. It's same as capoeira, right? And a lot of times we think, that it's easy, but there's so much work that goes into it. I remember so many times you were studying and how every night you're studying, and that's just part of it, right? Like just getting to this point, we were talking about some other projects we could possibly do together, and just having this set up for the podcast took hours, dozens of hours of research. I spent 10 hours looking, reviews on microphones for beginning, 10 hours on 20, 30 hours just to learn basic technique on the GarageBand and how to upload it and what software to use. And I mean, there's so many things that people don't understand that go into the process of us getting to where we are, to being able to share it, and more importantly, how to be able to take it further in the future.
Yeah, that's part of the deal, though, right? You get,
I wouldn't take anything back. I enjoy it every second.
but and at a certain point too, you gotta make it look easy, and you don't have to. Once you do enough, it does just look natural and flowing to those around you, and it's hard to see. You know, those who know can see it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the new people, they're like, wow, that's just so natural and easy. I'll be there soon.
Okay, guys, I'm going to cut it here because we got a lot to do today. So many fun things going on, kids' classes. Thank you for always supporting us on Patreon. Thank you, Gavin, for being here with me today. It's been amazing. We've had a great morning just chit-chatting and lots of coffee. Anything you'd like to say before we move on?
Let's get into the Hoda. Let's go.
All right. Guys, thank you for joining today. Master Sukuri, Tokyo, Japan, Mestre Vibes. Lots of love, lots of peace, and lots of capoeira.